What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Mile High Hockey. Mike, it's been 3 games the Avalanche have played since you and I last chatted. Let's start with last night in Vancouver. That is a game that won't be remembered much the rest of the year. That was just a bit of a dud from the Avs. They don't score until the final minute of the game last night. Garbage time goal by Valeri Nichushkin. Just a frustrating effort on a game that didn't even get over till after 11 p.m.
You get beat by Kiefer Sherwood. Not Kiefer Sutherland, Kiefer Sherwood. Okay, you're talking about a guy who 7 years in the NHL, classic journeyman, had 32 career goals going into that game last night. He gets a hat trick. And diehard Avalanche fans may remember that Sherwood was with the Avs in 2020 and 2021. He played 27 games and scored 1 goal in the course of that game. So, yeah, kind of a frustrating game, and frustrating from the standpoint that you got solid goaltending, and yet your best players need to step up and do more. I get that through the first part of the season, the goaltending was a very, very convenient excuse / reason why the Avalanche were kind of slogging along. But I think the feeling now is that they've solved their goaltending issues for now. And now I think it's time for this team to go. And I think we're in agreement that you need more from the best players. You can't have Nathan MacKinnon, and please don't get me wrong. I understand he's leading the league in points, and I'm not looking to send him down to the Eagles. But what I am saying is that on nights like last night, when you need your studs to be studs, you can't have Nathan MacKinnon turning the puck over at mid-ice on a power play, leading to Vancouver getting their first shorthanded goal of the season. These are the things that have to be tightened up if this Avs team is going to get on a roll and really solidify a playoff spot.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up the power play because I've got a stat for you here. The Avs are 5 for 48 on the power play in the past 18 games and have allowed 2 shorthanded goals. So in 18 games, you've only scored 5 power play goals. We think of this power play as electric, right? And it should be electric. You have 3 of the 10 best players in the world, 4 of the top 20. I know Jared Bednar has tweaked with it a little bit, but other than Gabe Landeskog, which again feels like a pipe dream, you are healthy. This power play should be humming. We're not talking about, over the last 3 games they've struggled. Mike, that's a stunning stat. 5 for 48 in their last 18 games. Got to get that figured out, and the 2 shorties, including the one you mentioned last night.
Yeah, it's time for the top guys to start going and really start to dominate. And this team needs to get on a roll. We were talking about the last 3 games since you and I last talked. I made my bold prediction that I thought this team would go on a real heater leading up to the Four Nations face-off. I was thinking 27 games that they could easily win 20 of them.
Yep, you did say that.
And this team's 1-2 since then.
Right.
And so, I think we're all kind of in the same boat as Avalanche fans. Like, okay, let's go. It's go time. Let's do this.
Well, and let's talk about, since we've last been here, they have played 3 games. You're right, they're 1-2. 2 of those 3 games, they've only scored 1 goal. They scored 1 goal against the hockey club and 1 goal against Canucks last night. Even the Nashville game over the weekend, Mike, it took them half the game to find the back of the net. Mackenzie Blackwood stood on his head in his first start, 37 saves for the Avs. But there is this feeling that, okay, goaltending is figured out, but then there's this sluggishness, and I think that gets back to what we're both saying, of like, no one's saying MacKinnon isn't having a great season or Makar's not having a great season, but there are stretches, and we've seen it over the last 3 games. 1 goal in 2 of those 3 games, just not acceptable, not enough for this team, and honestly, they could be 0-3 unless Blackwood played out of his mind against Nashville.
So then what's happening? Then the only real solution I have, or the answer I have is this, is that, this team kind of got into a funk mentally because of how they felt about the goaltending. They felt that the goaltending was letting them down. They didn't maybe particularly even like Alexander Georgiev anymore. And so a lot of bad habits, that malaise that sort of settled over this team took hold. And maybe it's just something that you can't just snap your fingers and boom, you're out of it. It's one thing to get Mackenzie Blackwood and to change the look in between the pipes and feel better about it as a team. But maybe the mistake that some of us, including myself, made was that it would be almost instantaneous. That it would be, hey, a huge weight's been lifted. Now let's go out and play electric style hockey that the Avalanche are accustomed to playing. Maybe you get into a slump, a malaise like that. It doesn't just happen overnight. Maybe it takes 3 or 4 games to have the actual game catch up to that feeling of feeling better and lighter about your situation.
And I think, too, we can go sort of broad and philosophical here on where this team is at right now. Mike, it's a scary word to use, but I'm just going to use it. I think the Avs are bored. I think they're bored. They know this season will be judged on what happens in April and May and hopefully June. Listen, in 2017, 2018, 2019, making the playoffs was exciting. That was a big deal. That made the regular season feel bigger. We all remember Game 82 against the Blues when they're dogpiling because they get into the dance. Is there a real chance these guys are just bored? Our basketball team, I think, has some of the same syndrome, too, that the regular season has become an 82-game slog where they know deep in their hearts no one cares about a Tuesday night, Monday night in Vancouver. People care about what we do in the postseason.
Wow, look, I am so I feel like my little boy's all grown up. like you're there because I have felt this way all season long when it comes to the Avalanche and Nuggets. I know that the fan out there watching is like, I want to believe that all 82 games matter. They don't. Not when you're a team that already has climbed the mountain and knows how to win. You just can't get up for 82 games, especially, and since we're just talking about the Avs, you have a big break coming up in February as well. So I can see why emotionally you look at a long hockey season, you know you're going to be in the playoffs. I mean, this is how you're thinking as a player. We know we're going to be in the playoffs, and we suspect we're going to go deep in the playoffs. Okay.
And we know that's all anyone cares about.
And that's all anyone cares about.
Playoffs.
So from that standpoint, as a player, how am I going to get up for a Tuesday night game in Vancouver in early December or middle of December? So I think you're absolutely right. I think there's something to the idea of being bored, and it may not even be until after that Four Nations face-off that this team really starts to say, okay, time to flip the switch. We got
another minute or two here. Let's start to look ahead. They've got the Sharks and the Ducks coming up.
Get right games.
I was just saying, poor Sharks fans, poor Duck fans, because I feel like I don't even have to check the standings to know they're bad. They're just always bad.
Yeah, they're bad.
Let's talk about it, though. Will San Jose throw Alexander Georgiev out there, and how much fun would it be for the Avs? We always talk about when the Rockies score 7, they get tacos. How about the Avs hang tacos on Georgie? Honestly, there could be something personal in that game, Mike, if it is Georgie between the pipes.
Well, Georgie better be between the pipes. Otherwise, that is hockey cowardice right there. Get between the pipes, Georgie. This team didn't want you. Kicked you to the curb. Let's go.
I would love for them to put a cricket number on Georgie. That would just be fun. Sweet revenge. As I've said, Alexander Georgiev, sorry, it's not personal, but he was a fun zapper, Mike. It just wasn't fun having to come in here and talk to you all the time about him getting benched. I know fans felt the same way. The good news, they don't play again until now on Thursday, so we'll give you even more of a preview on that on the next edition of Mile High Hockey. Appreciate you being with us, as always.